Hello and welcome to La Rosa Reads. Today I am thrilled to share with all of you my top 5 favorite reads of the second quarter of the year 2022. Let's talk books. So, I've been at this booktube thing since November of 2021, and I have to share with you guys this fact. I think my favorite reads of the quarter are like my favorite videos to do. I have been chomping at the bit, just anxiously awaiting the moment when I could share with everyone my top 5 favorite reads from April, May, and June. So, let's do this, baby! Coming in at number 5 is By the Book, by the one, the only, the fantabulous Jasmine Guillory. Here we have book 2 in the book series Meant to Be, which is a Disney book series. And Jasmine is just so highly skilled in romance novels. And she totally delivered and knew the assignment and aced the assignment with this one. This Meant to Be series is all about taking those classic Disney fairy tales and transforming them into romance novels. And this book, By the Book, takes Beauty and the Beast and gives it a spin, a twist that just delivers in every way imaginable. I fell in love with Isabel and Beau. I fell in love with the idea of Isabel and Beau being romantically involved. I also fell in love with the side characters. They weren't too prominent in the book, but everyone that made an appearance, I should say, in this book was just absolutely engaging and delightful. It's lighthearted, it's romance without being too vulgar, too much. Everything was just enough. Some of the fantasy was just enough. It was really a delight to read, and so it's my number 5 favorite read of the second quarter of the year 2022. Billy Porter comes in at number 4 with his memoir, Unprotected. This memoir is so deeply moving. It's so authentically his voice and his lived experiences, his life story. He draws you in immediately. You fall in love with Billy Porter, the child. You fall in love with Billy Porter, the performer. You fall in love with Billy Porter, the adult. He is just so skilled at sharing his truth, sharing his story in a way that just consumes you. I just found myself flipping through the pages and just being so immersed in the story, just getting lost in his story. I am so incredibly proud of Billy Porter. Although I am not originally from Pittsburgh, I think it's safe to say that I am a Pittsburgher because I've lived here for over 17 years. Billy Porter was born and raised here in the Pittsburgh area. There were so many Pittsburgh references, and just seeing someone come from such humble beginnings and just journey through life trying to discover himself and just be the person he's meant to be and share that journey with us was really a gift. I'm so grateful for this book. I actually feel like it's a gift to the world. I highly recommend it. Also, Billy Porter is just showing no signs of slowing down. He recently gave the commencement address at his alma mater, Carnegie Mellon University, CMU, here in Pittsburgh. He's been also making a lot of appearances in the Pittsburgh area for Pride Fest, for the Pittsburgh Festival of Books. I'm just so grateful that he comes back and gives to a city that wasn't the friendliest towards him, wasn't the most welcoming. However, he doesn't hold grudges. And I think that's why we're so drawn to him and his energy, because it's truly positive. Billy Porter also has a movie coming out, Anything's Possible. I am so ready to watch that as well and enjoy his art. I highly recommend this book. Love me some Billy Porter. And number 3, my number 3 favorite read of the second quarter of this year is When Stars Are Scattered. Victoria Jameson and Omar Mohammed did a beautiful job of taking a memoir, a real lived experience, and making it accessible to middle grade readers, making it just, how do I word it? It's so touching, yet not too heavy, yet very much the reality of these individuals, their lived experience. It honors that lived experience while also not making it too heavy and complicated to the point that young readers wouldn't understand. And I found myself as a 41-year-old reader appreciating all of that and being able to truly absorb every word, every moment. And I just knew from this cover that I was going to love this book. However, I must say this book exceeded my expectations. We have Hassan and Omar. They are brothers who unfortunately become refugees, and they end up living in a refugee camp in Kenya. And that refugee camp becomes their extended family, their village of support. And we watch how these brothers look out for each other, how they find themselves, they find their passions, they rediscover each other, and also go on to do some wonderful things in life. And we even find out exactly what those things are in the end. So, all the feels for when stars are scattered. And the runner-up for my favorite read of the second quarter of this year is Finlay. Donovan is killing it. And may I just take a moment to say thank you. El Cosimano is fantabulous at writing a mystery that is full of so many feels. This mystery is intriguing. It's hilarious. The characters are quirky, yet relatable. I loved everything about this book. It just delivered in so many ways. I found that this book was both character-driven and plot-driven. We have Finlay Donovan, this author who is like a CD-list author, and she's a troubled soul. She's just living a chaotic, sad, poor life. I don't want to say poor, like a broke life. She's really financially struggling, and all these things are happening. And like I've said in previous videos, Finlay Donovan gets mistaken for a contracted killer and actually becomes a contracted killer. And wow, I just don't even want to tell you anymore other than tell you to get a copy of this book and read it if you haven't already. Get the audiobook. I can imagine the audiobook is quite an adventure in itself. I don't know. I just think this book is amazing. I definitely am interested in reading the sequel. There's also the third book in the series coming out, I believe, in the fall. So I'm not really a big series reader. However, this book immediately had me thinking, where's the next one? I have to read the next book. So I'm going to be diving into Finlay Donovan, books 2 and 3. And if there's more, I'm here for it. My heart. My heart. Y'all. My number one favorite read of the spring of the quarter, number 2 in the year 2022 is Half Blown Rose by Lisa Cross Smith. Miss Cross Smith, you deserve all the love. You deserve your own bouquet of roses. When I tell you, this book just took me on a wild ride, a wild journey, a wild adventure. I am just blown away by Half Blown Rose. It is romance at its finest. It is literary fiction at its finest. It is realistic fiction at its finest. These characters are sexy. They're just captivating, intriguing. They left me curious. They left me wanting more, wanting to learn more about them. I just loved everything about this book. There's just so much happening, yet not too much. So we have Vincent, a woman who is in her mid-40s, married to Cillian, an author who just took her heart and just made it his when they were teenagers in college. They have 2 grown children. Long story short, Cillian, the author, secretly writes a book titled Half Blown Rose. And this book, it's a little autobiographical, yet spliced with some fiction. And he reveals some interesting things about himself that his wife had no idea about prior to reading this book. that sends her in like a tizzy. She is just like, get me away. Like everything about this book is so exotic and so not my life because they're super wealthy and she comes from wealth. And so like, you know, she's just like a lover scorned. And what does she do? She flies away to Paris and stays at her parents' apartment in Paris because her heart can't take it. She needs to get away, and her parents own all these homes, and while they're in Rome, they're like, sure, daughter, you can just, you know, spend a year in our Paris apartment, do what you have to do to heal and mend your broken heart. And what does girlfriend do? Vincent finds a 24-year-old hottie by the name of Lou, and an affair ensues. An affair, and I mean a steamy affair, is like going down, baby. And whoa. That's all I have to say. I don't want to tell you too much, but this book is broken up into 3 parts. Part 1 is like all about Vincent and her husband, Cillian. And then they have the separation, never divorced, mind you. And so part 3 is about Vincent and her Paris lover, Lou. And then part 3 is about Vincent and who she becomes and the decision she makes. Mwah! Chef's kiss to Half Blown Rose. I have not read any of Lisa Cross Smith's books prior to this one. Honey, I'm going to that catalog of books and I'm just like pulling them from the shelves at my indie bookstore nearby. I mean, I am just forever a fan of hers after reading this book. I guess you could assume I highly recommend Half Blown Rose. And let me just say, this is definitely going to be a contender for my favorite book of the year. I can just feel it in my bones. You know how I be talking about how I feel things in my bones? This is one of them moments, y'all. Half Blown Rose, you haven't seen the last of this one. Here we have it, friends. These are my top 5 favorite reads of Q2 of the year 2022. So my favorite spring reads, and they are as follows, starting with number 5 to my number 1 favorite. And we have by the book, Unprotected, When Stars Are Scattered, Finlay, Donovan is Killing It, and Half Blown Rose. What are your favorite reads from Q2? I would love to know, so hop over into the comments and just spill the tea, will you please? I don't want to be talking to myself here. Talking at this camera is weird, so I love engaging with the community. So let me know what your favorite reads are. Are any of these books calling you in? Like, are they appealing to you? Are you going to pick them up? Have you already picked them up? Let's talk about it. And until next time, don't be a stranger. Check out this video up here, and I will see you next time. Bye.